I am Eleonora. I am your host today, and I am the US Director for Mindsharp Publishing House. If you wonder if you saw me before on YouTube, you're probably right. I have my own YouTube channel, The Awakening Path, and if you are curious to see what I'm doing there, you are welcome to do after this live. But just stick with us because we're going to have few surprises for you today. So I'm here to introduce you to the Awakening Translations community. What is that? We are a group of people dedicated to translate high vibrational knowledge to Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, Italian, and others. The inspiration for us was the teachings of Gesu and Ananda, channeled by Tina Louise Spalding. And what are the odds that three people in different parts of the world would be translating the same book at the same time? Ordinary people, that ordinary in the sense that they never dreamed to become a translators. That's what was the energy behind that started this movement. Carlos Lavado, he is a translator to Spanish. I'm the Portuguese translator. And Dražen Drenski, he is the translator for German, and because he, besides be gifting in music, he's also gifting in language. And he just thought, well, why not to translate it to French and Italian too? So he was brave enough to work with three languages at the same time. So that's what he's doing. And I'm here to introduce you to have a nice conversation with Dražen Drenski. Please help me welcome Dražen Drenski. Dražen, welcome to the Mindsharp editorial.
Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be in this meeting and to join and contribute to this event here. And first of all, I would like to start with an attunement. That's how Carol Morgan calls it. She's the assistant of Tina Spalding, the author of Jesus, My Autobiography, and the other books that we are joining to promote and starting with the translation. And the attunements Carol Morgan would do are visual ones, channeled ones from Xena, an entity she would channel. And I would like to do an attunement just in terms of sound, which would be music, just to give you without many words, an impression where I come from. Musically, I'm a musician, and maybe it would give you an impression later with the instrument I'm gonna do the attunement with, where I come from geographically, because it can be heard as well. So, attunement would be the music I was first falling in love with, which would be traditional jazz from New Orleans, the so-called New Orleans jazz style. So.
Dražen, just keep it very close to the microphone because the Zoom sometimes doesn't take the sound is too far away.
I anticipated that this could be a problem with the voices, so I try my best. But it's an attunement.
That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead.
We won't put it on record anyway.
That's great. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. You just had a sample of Dražan's music. I will put in the link, I will put in the description the link if you want to hear more about his music. He has a lots of things for free on YouTube, so you are welcome to check it out later. Now we can start our interview. Before we started talking about the books, tell us about your spiritual evolution. For example, mine start with 4 questions. What is God? Who am I? Where I came from? And what I'm doing here? After that was just bringing books and videos and my higher self. When you have the question, your higher self, okay, she's ready. So I'm being guided through my spiritual evolution this way. How that started for you?
Okay, I pick what I'm doing here, because that was a question pretty hard to figure out for me in my early ages, like when I was a child, a teenager. And I've learned from the Course perspective, and the Course is called the Course in Miracles because it's based on the principle of miracles, which are basically the opposite of what we know and what we would expect in life. Like miracles are obviously things that you wouldn't expect, right? And so I, as a child, the first big miracle in my life as a child was just having my father picked from, I don't know, an incarnational perspective, because he happened to be a professional musician, and he loved jazz, he loved Louis Armstrong, and that was pretty much the first thing I encountered when I was born. I was surrounded with the music that would come out of his gramophone, and he was playing, he said he was a trumpeter, he was playing along with that, and he was playing in band, professional musician. He had perfect pitch, and he was basically unable to not hit a tone. There's 3 classes of people. The first is that are unable to hit a frequency, to sing properly. Then there are the ones that are able to hit a frequency and to sing properly, like me. And the third kind is the ones that are unable to not hit a tone. These are the ones with the perfect pitch. So was my father. And I was kind of obviously choosing him as a father. And that was pretty much a start into my life in terms of music, but also in terms of languages, because music is learned like language in early age. And without him, I wouldn't have that approach as a child. And but the next miracle that would happen then, the real miracle, would be after a divorce, when I was like a child, 4 or 5 years old. My parents got divorced. My mother got married again, and she would move to Germany. And I would follow her with 6. And that was already the first crisis, because I didn't speak German. And the schooling began. I would just jump into the cold water and start with schooling without basically speaking broken German. And the other thing was that she was married to an Italian. So I had to learn 2 foreign languages at once. And the miracle was that this succeeded. I succeeded in this pretty effortlessly. And it turned out that my mother is natural high gifted talent for foreign languages. It wasn't visible until she left the former Yugoslavia and fled basically to Germany, because she didn't have to speak any foreign language. And then it turned out that she was really able to master German within years, which is basically almost impossible, because German is really complicated language, and you never get rid of an accent unless you start as a child. And my mother would get rid of any accent, and she would basically speak flawlessly, not only German, but also Italian. And that was like a first role model. And then after 4 years, I was transferred to a special gymnasium for languages, for gifted children, for foreign languages. And we had all kind of languages there, starting with Latin. I learned Latin forever, like then English, French, Russian. And all I can say about this is that everything was like effortless for me. I wasn't even too interested in languages, because everything just came to me. And I wasn't even having any plans with that, like being a translator. I would never have dreamt of to end up as a translator. And I wouldn't if it wasn't for Jesus, because that's an exception. So in the 20s, what I would do would play music. But since my parents were divorced, I didn't have an actual musical education properly that I would have in order to get a professional musician. So I just I dreamt about playing with the blues band, and it's deemed impossible to me. But somehow I bought a saxophone. I was already doodling around with a recorder and with the flute and with the guitar and mandolin, but I haven't found my instrumental. I found the clarinet and saxophone, and that was my start in that blues band. And I was already 15 or so, and that is basically too late to start a professional career, because this band was a semi-professional band with gigs and everything, and they were all in their 20s. They were basically 5 to 10 years older than me, and somehow I got in that band. And basically, the rest would be history. Now, that was the second miracle. Although I didn't have a musical education, I had an excellent education when it comes to languages, foreign languages, elite education. But I decided to be a musician, and then I saw it's too late. That won't happen. It's impossible. But it happened, and that was a pure miracle, because I never would have expected this. And so that was my approach. I could go on for hours. What kind of miracles happened?
I You've been talking about miracle a lot, so let me just ask you the question. What is the book that's really spark you the spiritual thing? Wow, I want to understand who is God, who am I, what I'm doing here. What is, if you have to choose a book that's really started, maybe not the most important, but that's really started, which one would pick?
That's a tough question. Obviously, the book that you have to get eventually into would be the Course in Miracles, because that's the one book that look. Wait a second. Do you have the third edition? That's the best one.
I think so. I think so.
I love that one. Yes. Oh, come on.
That has everything.
Why is mine? Oh, I see it.
Yes.
You know, it's the third edition. That's the rarest one because it has everything, all the parts of A Course in Miracles in paperback. This is priceless, unless it has still a price, but it's priceless. It's priceless. You know,
yes.
So, priceless. It doesn't have a price anymore.
We are not going to talk about Course in Miracles right now, because if we start and then we just can't stop talking about the Course in Miracles. I already invited Dražen to go to my website. We're going to have a live only about the Course in Miracles. But today, let's go straight to the translations. What inspired you? How you end up being a translator for Jesus material?
Okay, I started with the course about 2008 or 9. And one of my first course teachers was a pretty famous man. His name is Michael Dawson. And after he would come once a year to Germany. He actually lives in Australia. And he needed a translator. He's not speaking German. And after a few years, I just ended up doing some translation work for him, which was interpreting, or the main thing was translating texts here. For example, he had a newsletter, quarterly newsletter, which was pretty thick. And that was the time before automatic translation was around, before, the DeepL translator or the Google translator. And I would do that for him. And this newsletter would introduce new spiritual books. And I was by then only reading comments to the Course in Miracles, or books like, let's say, The Disappearance of the Universe from Gary Renard, or Renard, but it's French, it's Renard. Then I spotted this excerpt from a book called Jesus, My Autobiography. And it was channeled material, and he told me about,
Let's just give a pause.
I have to read. They're all the same, but that's the English. That's the English one.
And let me just tell something to the public. We decided to read just a quote from Jesus, My Autobiography. We're going to read the same quote in all 6 languages. So when you finish talking about how that starts, and then we're going to do the first 2, and then we'll do 2 by 2. So you started translating some parts of the book Jesus, My Autobiography to him, and then what happened?
So that was, I think, 2017. That's a big year, 17, like the 17th letter.
Yes.
and the so-called posts which are named after the 17th letter on the alphabet, which are connected to the US election and movements that I cannot go into here on
Oh yes,
YouTube.
that name we just like spell because maybe
Yeah.
YouTube doesn't like it.
Yeah. But what happened before that? Before I spotted the Jesus book on Michael Dawson's newsletter, and before my translation of the first page, which was 2017, I got into possession of this book here. And it's a book I was like reading for years, but I didn't have my own copy. And I can't, for reasons I can't go into, I will not tell the title. I just show it here. And this book is from 91. It has many predictions about the future and about what
P-A-L-E horse. So
okay,
you can Google, you're gonna find it.
Okay, what has this book to do with Jesus, my autobiography? It's the publishing house. It's from Light Technology Publishing. So I was known of this book, and people who know this book is like a holy book in a movement, not in a religious sense, but in the sense of awakening people to truth, which are not necessarily religious ones, but maybe political ones, and this stuff. And so shortly before I made acquaintance to the owner of this publishing house, I was buying this very book here from her personally. And so then I learned about the Jesus book. I translated this one first page, and it was about the crucifixion, and it left me flabbergasted because, yes, okay, it showed that this Jesus is the same entity that was the actual author of A Course in Miracles, but he really went into the description of the crucifixion, what it was for, and how it felt actually for him, and that it was not what we learned later in Christianity. That it didn't found Christianity.
I would really say that failed for him, how the church kind of distorted.
Absolutely.
Their favor
Absolutely.
to control
people. That's not actually new. Who wants to know? People know that Jesus didn't found Christianity. That's not a new thing. Paul founded Christianity, and he had.
Sorry. What was your thought when you read that book? What was your thought? I just want you to say, because that was the same thought that I had and Carlos had. When you saw how amazing it was, what was your thought?
So that was like when I would hear jazz that would hit me here, like John Coltrane or something. I saw that, and it was perfectly clear to me that this was the actual Jesus. And then I would talk to friends reading A Course in Miracles and show them this thing. And most of them would say, this is not Jesus. That can't be Jesus. That is not the Jesus of Course in Miracles. He wouldn't talk about, duality and these stuff, these things. And okay, it's not the same word in the same language as in A Course in Miracles. Course in Miracles has this Shakespearean lyric pentameter language, very, very, very old-fashioned and complicated. And this Jesus here would speak in a really what's the word, casual American language, like an average person, basically, almost. And still my gut feeling or my heart chakra feeling was, oh my gosh, that's real. That's the real thing. That's Jesus. That's the Course in Miracles, Jesus. And
Why is
so the
it
rest
not
of it,
available in other languages?
not available in other languages. So I still, so I bought myself a copy in a copy in English one, and I was reading that within days. And then the next miracle actually happened, because I wasn't, I was a music teacher in a state school, and had a good job, and I was having gigs and stuff. I just did this translation work for Michael, my mentor. I would never start any translation work. But then when I saw that book, first question was, this book is from 2015. It's 2017 now, and we got into 2018, and still no major publisher would touch this material. Let's say, as I spoke earlier about Gary Renard, a major publisher in Germany, which is part of Random House, his publisher, would publish his books like a year or a year and a half after them being published in English. So they would not wait for long. They would just wait as long as the translation takes and the book would be out. And okay, and this book wouldn't be touched by any publisher, any German publisher, not even a small one by then. And that was the signal for me to ask, what can I do about that? And I asked Michael, and he told me, I know Tina, and I give you a number, and I will make some endorsement or so. I will introduce you to her, and maybe to the publisher. And that's what happened. And so the publisher, then I talked again to the publisher, and we just found out that we already know each other, basically, because I had already bought this book here. And she published this book in 1991. And I don't know how old she was back then. I know now. She was like in her 30s or so still, or end 30s, maximum 40, because she's like 85 now. She's 85 now, and she's still working, as she says. She's still working her ass off. And can't make this up. This is an extraordinary person. And so I asked her, what can I do? Are you a publisher? And I can give you the rights. You can buy the rights if you're a publisher. And the only thing I could tell her is, yes, I publish jazz CDs. I'm a small independent publisher of jazz CDs and text about jazz. So would you call that a publisher? I'm not exactly a publishing house, but I have experience, and I have a graphic designer, and the distribution part will be new to me, but there's a big community, which we were already in 2019, and Tina's A Year of Forgiveness series on YouTube had started. And that was generating a huge movement within days and weeks in Germany, of followers. And that was the final signal for me to get the Jesus book translated. And that was it. I got the rights in 2019. I was anticipating a year for the translation. It took me more than a year and a half, almost two, to be perfectly honest. And that's it. So by the end of 2020, the translation was up and running. The book was, I was starting selling the book.
Wow, that's really, really amazing, Drenski. And if you would like to have in your hands, actually, the print copy is not available for. Are you selling the print copy right now anywhere?
I'm selling we're talking about the German Jesus book.
Yes.
Yes, I'm selling the print book, which I did first. So my approach was always to start with the print book to give the community some time to do what I call a crowd proofreading. To give them enough space to comment on things and find maybe some mistakes or stuff. And I would go an extra year to adapt to that and to adjust everything and basically to make it rounder. So it wasn't until a year, almost 2 years later, till the actual ebook came out. Because an ebook, so that's the thing. You can buy the German print book and the German ebook. The only thing that's still missing, but I will solve that soon, is that on my page, it's not yet possible to buy ebooks. So if you want to buy the ebook, you still have to go on Amazon and to get yourself a Kindle copy.
In the description, I explain how to do that. Dražen, would you be ready for us to read one quote of Jesus, my autobiography?
Sure.
I'm going to start with English. It's the before last paragraph of the introduction session. I'm going to read from here. That's a little bigger for me. And the quote says like that: I am the one you called Jesus. I am the one who was referred to as the Son of God. But I'm no more the Son of God than you. You are too. You are all sons and daughters of God. We are all equal. Some are just further along the road. That's all. So now you can read in German.
Ich bin der, den ihr Jesus nennt. Ich bin der als der Sohn Gottes bezeichnet wurde. Aber ich bin nicht mehr oder weniger ein Sohn Gottes, als ihr es seid. Ihr alle seid die Söhne und die Töchter Gottes. Wir sind alle gleich. Nur dass einige von uns auf diesem Weg weiter fortgeschritten sind. Das ist alles.
You don't have to agree with that. Just keep in your mind, if you're curious about that book, I know it's a trigger to many people. I do have here the Spanish version also. The Portuguese version is on progress right now. And because the doctrines and we were taught to fear, do not say anything against that doesn't go along with you learn at church. But if you are brave enough to try and read this book, you're gonna free your mind from a lot of outdated beliefs that really doesn't serve you. That's like your path for freedom. Dražen, how about the French and Italian? Are they available in ebook right now?
Yes. The answer is yes. And
you can also get it at Amazon.
They are. I hope they are. So that's the Italian and the French version. And so I have to correct a claim that you made at the beginning. I'm not that gifted to do the actual translations in 3 languages. You know, a professional thing is to do the translation into your native language, which would be German for me, because I did all my schooling in Germany. So like you, I am trilingual at least, or I don't know there's even a language or two more maybe, but that's my best and most perfect language, Germany, and German language. And then I'm basically half of a native speaker in Italian, for the reasons I told you. My stepfather is Italian, so I had a stepbrother, an Italian stepbrother, half brother, excuse me, half brother, and I would be only a co-translator for the Italian version. There's 3 Italian translators, and I name them here just to have them mentioned. So the names are
So are you also working the others book? So far, Tina has 8 books. Are you already in process to translate the other books too?
First, I read the names of the 3 names of translators, and these are Paola Pacagna and Georgia Nemo and Filomena D'Andrea. These are the names of the 3 translators. And excuse me, you asked me a question?
I asked you if you are already working on the other books.
Yes. There is the second title of
A Year of Forgiveness.
It's the Year of Forgiveness.
My son called this The Beautiful Book. Can you just open up so people can see inside? My copy is somewhere there.
So now you caught me off guard because it's so wonderful. It has gold and it has wonderful
pictures inside.
Yeah, and this, you see this gold?
Yes.
It's not just.
Yes, my son was.
No, this costs a fortune.
Yes,
to print this is very expensive to print. And I couldn't actually afford that. And I don't have these wonderful illustrations either. But the good news is that the book is already translated and it will be available very soon. The first year.
So you already have it, some version copies.
You know what I did in the first year? In order to make it possible for people to do the Year of Forgiveness, I sold the first half year in advance. That was like one half, and then the other half year. And now I will have to put these together.
I see.
I have the whole book, So these books are not for these books were sold within the community, and I have permission for that.
I see.
But Melody, the rights owner and the publisher, told me, "Okay, you can do that, but eventually
you're gonna have to combine."
Yes, they have to be combined.
Maybe you can get the pictures also.
No, I don't have them. I don't have the pictures, and then I don't have the gold neither.
That's okay. The content is the most important.
Have you seen the gold prices? They are skyrocketing in the last. I mean, it's impossible prices. You can't afford that gold. All that gold, it was already expensive 2 years ago.
So the future of the GreenSleeves Publishing is to translate all the Jesus books, Jesus and Ananda's book. And also we are waiting very patiently for Carol and Zina's book that's coming up, I think, the beginning of next year. And those, of course, with her permission, we wanted to translate it to Spanish, Portuguese, and are you planning to translate her books too?
I'm actually currently in the process of translating 40 Days and 40 Nights, because for me, 40 Days and 40 Nights with Jesus, I don't... do you have a copy of it, an English copy?
Oh, which one? Of Jesus, my autobiography?
No, 40 Nights and 40 Days.
Oh, no, that's the one. I don't have it yet. I have to buy it.
Yeah, I have an ebook only. So that's the one I don't have. I have everything.
It's the only one I don't have so far.
No, I can show you all the other print books of Tina. I have them here. But the one I'm working on, nicht die anderen?
In the 40 Days and 40 Nights.
Days and Nights.
That was the last one.
To me.
Dražen, how about we do another reading of the quotes?
Yes.
This time I'm gonna do in Spanish and you're gonna do in Italian. Yes. So let's start in Spanish. Yo soy el que llamas Jesús. Soy el que fui referido como el Hijo de Dios. Pero no soy más hijo de Dios que tú. Tú también lo eres. Todos vosotros sois hijos y hijas de Dios. Y todos somos iguales. Algunos estamos más lejos en el camino. Eso es todo. Now you can do it in Italian. I love Italian.
So, here it is. Io sono colui che chiamate Gesù. Io sono quello che è stato indicato come figlio di Dio, ma non sono il figlio di Dio più di quanto lo siate voi. Anche voi lo siete. Siete tutti figli e figlie di Dio e siamo tutti uguali. Alcuni sono solo più avanti lungo la strada e questo è tutto.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I hope you that is watching is enjoying. And I did put on the description all the language so you can play with that later. I'm really, really enjoying that. Our conversation has been very, very amazing. So let me just ask you about, are you still performing and composing? How you are combining your music life with the translations?
That's actually not that hard. Because, you know, when I think about Carlos, who is or Tina Spalding. So Tina Spalding is an artist. So she wouldn't have to do the same thing all day long. And that's pretty much how I work. Carlos is a writer, so he would spend part of the day writing his own stuff, being creative, but then he would have to spend the rest of the day still writing, but as a translator. And I wouldn't.
And in my case, I'm a Reiki healer. So I spend part of my day being a healer and other part translating. And it's a perfect combination. That's a perfect combination.
And so to be a translator, actually, I have to admit, as I said, the languages would come effortlessly to me. But I never learned to be really, really hardworking. So I would translate for an hour or 2 or 3 hours, maybe a day, but I wouldn't work like from 9 to 5.
Let me tell you a secret. We're not supposed to work to exhaustion.
Yes.
You know, now I'm in contact with my guides, and I do have a to-do list that if I really put in a to-do list, it'll go like 50 easily. And sometimes I kind of speak it to my guy and say, look, I think I should work a little harder and do a little more during the day. And then that's what they say. No, actually, you did a lot today, and what you supposed to have done was take some more time for fun and rest. Oh, okay. So we're not supposed to work hard and not hard too hard. And when we are getting inspired to do things that we love, it's like you work 3 hours, but you produce like you work 9 hours. And that's
Would-
how we human beings supposed to live.
and we for sure not supposed to work to do things on a daily basis 9 to 5 for 8 hours, because this can't be healthy in any way. And my mother used to tell me, being gifted doesn't entitle you to be lazy. And I always said, no, I'm not lazy. I'm not lazy. I'm doing a bunch of things. I do music. I did many things when I was young, and I had to go to school, and even in the afternoon. Often I wouldn't appear at school in the afternoon. I was a very good student, effortlessly, but it got me almost expelled from school because I wouldn't show up in the afternoon on a regular basis because I wanted my freedom, and then I got into trouble.
I wish I could have done that. That would be great. But what happened to what they call laziness, or when you are resting, when you calm your mind, that's when you are really connecting to the smarter part of yourself, your higher self, inner wisdom, whatever you want to call. So actually, the design of the society and the matrix was done in a way that you're just too busy to be just with yourself, to realize that you are in a job that you don't like. And literally started thinking, is there other options for me? Do I really have to do that? But you're just being pushing, running, and then you are, until you fall and are forced to really stay still for a day, 2 or 3. You're never going to think about it because you are just too busy to do that.
And many of what you said is actually described in the books, in these Jesus books. And they are like a bridge to A Course in Miracles in terms of being more related to everyday life, how to spend your everyday life, and some topics like, let's say, addiction or sexuality addiction, in overeating addiction, wouldn't be covered that much in A Course in Miracles because it's pretty lofty. The part of A Course in Miracles that you have to do and you can't skip is the workbook. That's the heart. You have to do the workbook. And you have to do the workbook exactly as it's proposed, not in any other personal style, which is what led me to Tina, because I was very good with the textbook, and then I tried to do the workbook. And you are supposed to do a lesson a day for a year, but then the ego would step in and try to make it perfect. But it's not about being perfect; it's about to undo your ego and undo the brainwashing and programming, which you can't do yourself. It has to be done, and you have to allow it. And what the ego would do when you start a course and you're a perfectionist or so, you would repeat a single lesson for like a whole week in order to make it perfect. But that would mean that your ego is in charge. But the purpose of it is to undo the ego. It's less about a to-do list. The course is about is not a to-do list of things. It's a to undo list. You have to undo the ego, and you can't do it with your ego as your helper, because your ego has little to none intention to be undone, and it won't be helpful.
I think that in January 2019, I got the best gift that I could ever get. And that was, I got my phone and I go to YouTube, and what I saw? Tina reading the first lesson of A Course in Miracles, and then Jesus show up and comment.
Wonderful.
And then I say, okay, I'm going to start from the number 1 this year. I'm going to abandon that ones that I already did. I want to restart from the day 1. And I was so motivated that in December 31st, I finished the last one. And that was the first time that I finished the lessons of the Course in Miracles. I've done many other times. I do 2020 alone. I did 2020 and 2021, I did alone. 2022, I did in Portuguese online to my YouTube channel. And 2023, I did in Spanish, also translating the comments of A Year of Forgiveness to Spanish. So, Dražen, let's read the last quote. I'm going to read Portuguese. That's my native language. And you're going to read French.
I have to add something first.
Sure.
Yes, Tina, it was the same to me. I was already in the community, and the actual community was founded in 2020, but I was already in her YouTube channel. And so, but although I was already translating the Jesus book, her Year of Forgiveness 29 saved the day for me. And then in 2020, the 40 days and 40 nights again saved my day because they were preparing me for a major shift in my life, which would mean I pretty much abandoned everything I was doing, my profession as a teacher, and going into these books. And you know what the year 2020 was all about. I won't go into it, but many of us would change their profession because they wouldn't be ready to adhere
we can talk
to
quickly about
certain
that.
new rules that were implemented. And Jesus was talking about that 2019. But then after the first lockdowns happened in 2020, the book 40 Days was already talking about something that he had predicted and that people had now really experienced for themselves. So he was basically taking the gloves off. So if you want a description, what 40 Days is about, it's basically like a year of forgiveness, but it's much more intense with the gloves taken off. And so that was obviously the book that I had to do next, and that's what I do now.
I think we can talk about that part that you didn't want to go there. We are living our life. We think we have our dream job, and I'm talking about because we had the same experience around the same time. I thought I had my dream job. I thought I was going to retire there. Thought I was happy and everything. And then suddenly they was forcing me to get this or else. And at the same time, I was already have a voice in my head saying, you need to talk about those things that you know, because everybody's panic. You are not. So just create a YouTube channel and talk about it, so people will find peace too. I said, I'm too busy. And then they really fired me because I refused to do. And then, okay, what's the excuse now? So I started the next day, and then that's how I really got in alignment with my purpose. And the same kind of happened to you. If you were working on that other job, you'd not be like a full-time working on those translations. And that was your call now. Not that the past you're not supposed to be doing, because I think that's always a stepstone. I have a say that you should never regret about the past, because it's always a stepstone and you need that experience. But there is a time that you need to do that jump. And if you don't jump voluntarily, you get pushed.
Yes, that's what's nice. And that brings us back to what I said initially about miracles happening in my life, going to Germany and learning these languages and playing in a band. Unless you find your way by yourself, your life will get you nudges, and in the end, you will be kicked into something. Yeah. And these are also miracles. So we always end up, if we are vigilant and analyze things from the past properly, we would always end up grateful and see miracles in things that we wouldn't have seen before. And that was, 2020 was looking like it was the worst thing that could happen to me. One of the worst things, like not doing the job anymore. And it was well-paid, secure, easy job. The best, musicians would dream to get this job. One of, I don't know how many would get such a job. And then I lost it, and I didn't even get that far. I was already losing it for this year, because I can't. I like to speak and breathe, and so, and that's what's not for me.
I
was getting in extreme trouble right from the start. There was no way to.
You were a rebel.
And I'm much better off now. I'm
sure.
It was a how Jesus would call it, a rocky road. Jesus said it will be a rocky road, and it sure was, and maybe still is in some aspects, But then again, miracles happen. You just can't anticipate what's coming. It's always something happening that you didn't see coming, and basically everything that comes to you turns out to be
for
helpful.
Your highest good.
Yes.
Dražen, let me read Portuguese now, and then you read French. Okay. And then we are closing an hour, so that's how we say in Portuguese. Eu sou aquele que você chama de Jesus. Eu sou aquele que foi referido como o Filho de Deus. Mas não sou mais filho de Deus do que você. Você também é. Vocês são todos filhos e filhas de Deus. E todos nós somos iguais. Alguns de nós estão mais adiante. Só isso. Now you can go in French.
Wonderful. I so love this language, I have to say something about the French translation. The translator is Noël. What a wonderful name, Noël Mesmer. But her family name is German, so she's living at the French border of Germany in France, which is the Rhine, the southern Rhine River. And I hope, I told you that German is my native language. Italian was half a native language. And then we come to a language that is not a native language of mine at all. I learned French in school, like forever. Mm-hmm. But I hope Noël will forgive my pronunciation, because if I have time to get it tuned, if I have time to get it tuned in French, I can do it quite okay. But after reading German, after reading Italian, after talking English for 1 hour, that will be the hardest job for today, to read French.
Okay, it will be better than mine. Don't worry about it.
Je suis celui que vous appelez Jésus. Je suis celui qu'on appelle le Fils de Dieu. Mais je ne parle plus le Fils de Dieu que vous. Vous l'êtes aussi. Vous êtes tous les fils et les filles de Dieu et nous sommes tous égaux. Excuse-moi. Nous sommes tous égaux. Certains sont juste plus avancés sur la route. C'est tout.
I love French, and I did French lessons, and I decided to learn French and Italian at the same time, and I already know Portuguese and Spanish, so I think my mind was getting a knot. So I decided to go with Italian first, but then I got too busy. So those two languages are in my to-do list. I don't know when they will come back. Dražen, that was a great pleasure to speak to you today. I think
My pleasure.
it was amazing. Can you give us a brief departure message?
Okay. The course is talking about that our life is a dream. And so if it's a dream, you can influence it. And if you have a dream in your life, the most important thing you can do and must do is to try to live that dream. It's like you're in the wrong job, you don't love your job anymore. And then you want to be maybe whatever, an artist or whatsoever, whatever. And it's not just you, it knocks on your door repeatedly. That's a sure sign that your higher self wants to do it. You have to do it. And you don't have to do it immediately. You can grow it like a plant. You can grow it like a small seed and see it growing, like you take courses. Let's say you want to learn Italian or French, and then you will say, I'm too old for this, I'm 50 or so. No, you're not too old. You can do that. And you can start it, and then you grow it like a plant. And it will for sure, you will succeed. Miracles will happen. Things will happen that you haven't seen coming. And who's your friend here and who's your enemy? You're thinking and overthinking things, it's not your friend. Because if you overthink an impulse that you have, you will end up not doing things. Because you have 1,000 arguments why it will not go, it will go wrong. I'm too old, I'm too busy, I'm too sick, you name it. Your heart is your best friend. It shows you the way, and you start doing it, and you do not go with your ego and your thinking. Musicians say, there's a saying in music, in jazz, and the saying is, thought is the enemy of flow. And the flow will show you the way. So you don't go with the mainstream and what the mainstreams would tell you, the media, your television, get rid of that. Your flow is within your heart. It's a vibration that you can get into. And it will tell you the truth, and it will be a good leader, an excellent guide. So don't go with the mainstream, go with the flow. And thought is the enemy of flow.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. So much well said. But before we leave, I have to tell about the author of this book will be in Spain. I don't know how close is that to you. She'll be for the Magic International in Barcelona. And over there, Mind Sherpa Books will have a booth, and the authors will be signing their books. So if you have their books, Carlos' book and Tina's book, just go there and have them sign for you. And Sunday, November 10th, there will be one-day event where Tina will gonna channel Jesus. Carol Morgan, she will play sound bath, and also Zina will answer questions through her. And Carlos also will gonna talk about, I forgot what exactly we're gonna talk about, but I always love everything that he says. And if you are not able to be in presence, you can go ahead to mindsherpabooks.com, and over there you can choose to buy online or in person. If you cannot go in person, I will be online because I'm in US. I won't be able to fly there, but I'm sure I am gonna be present online. And it's really a great opportunity for you to have to get to listen to Jesus teaching and Zina Allen teaching in Spanish to the Spanish community. So just go to mindsherpabooks.com. It's in the description, and participate on this event. Also, if you're not subscribed to this channel, Mind Sherpa Editorial, I kindly ask that you do so if you so wish. And Dražen, do you feel like playing a little more for us? It's okay if you
Sure.
if you don't.
Sure, like if the former thing was an intro, though, I will continue the same tune as an outro.
That would be great. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time. Just enjoy a little bit more of Dražen. Wow, that's amazing, Dražen. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.